Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Today, we have another crazy Karen in court, but this time, she brought her Kevin, so let's begin.
Any opening statements from either party? Mr. Ojak.
No opening statement.
Ms. Dehart, is there anything you'd like to say for an opening?
Here's that paper.
I am asking that you, this is an appeal on a case. I just want to make sure you have a photo with you.
Ma'am, that's not the appropriate way to enter evidence.
What are you even talking about, Judge? Do you mean to tell us that a low-res picture taken on the side of the road, uploaded to a computer and printed out on an inkjet printer, then showed over a 720 webcam in court is not admissible evidence?
I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
you did enter it.
Okay. You should have a copy of it is what I'm saying. I'm sorry. So what I'm trying
I don't
to...
have any, ma'am, I don't have anything.
Oh,
Okay.
at the time of the appeal.
Okay, at the time that I made the appeal, I made this photo, and I have others available, and they received it at the court, and they said that it would be with the paperwork. So I can either show it to you now, but what I'm trying to let you know is that I'm asking for an appeal on the magistrate's
appeal, ma'am.
ruling.
You're,
The appeal.
I'm
This is your
appealing
hearing.
Right, so I would like you to, I don't know the right word.
I think the right words you're looking for are, Judge, I need more time to get myself an attorney.
Ms. Dehart, do you have any questions for the officer?
Yes. My question for the officer is that
you have,
I'm trying to do this correctly, so if I do anything that's wrong, I appreciate when you correct me. So my question for the officer is that I changed my lanes with my, well, that's not for the officer, but I always use my turn indicators when I change my lanes. I guess I'm a little confused about the fact that
You ought
is
to give
not
business
at
questions
all,
at this point.
that was,
Ms. Dehart, can you ask questions?
oh, God.
The opportunity to testify. It's your opportunity to ask the officer questions about what he had just testified to.
okay, that this testimony that he is saying now is not what was testified in the previous magistrate court. He's changed his testimony from then.
It's
And
not your
I-
turn to testify. It's your turn to ask him questions, not me.
Yeah, I'm asking,
Answer
okay,
questions.
I'm sorry, I'm asking him why he's changed his testimony. All of this information is not part of what was at the magistrate. So why did he change this? I do want to know, did he go back and check the lane usage, which is what I was told, that it was improper lane usage because the court magistrate said that the lane was properly.
Well, let me stop you right there, Karen, because you were supposed to stop at the end of your first question, which was, why did you change your testimony from the informal hearing to the formal hearing? And that's a valid question. The problem is, she didn't even give the officer a chance to respond. Now let's see if Karen can reform her question in the form of a question and shut up long enough to get an answer.
Okay, so why did he change his testimony and say that it's not for improper lane use when that's what we did in the previous magistrate? Why is this testimony different than what we talked about in the previous? I was told specifically by the
Ma'am,
magistrate.
one question at
repeatedly.
ma'am, one question at a time. Let him answer.
Okay,
Okay, my testimony in this case is a little more detailed than it would have been in the informal hearing. And the reason for that is, and I actually took measurements on Google Earth and the washtenaw.org mapping system. That's how I had the exact measurements of the signage, where the road markings were, et cetera. As far as what you were stopped for, you were stopped for, it could be improper lane use. It could be the fail to yield for merging over. There were a number of violations that would have been appropriate. And I ended up issuing the impeding because that's a 0-point violation.
Wow, that cop's a real jackass. He could have given her a ticket for so many different things, and yet he chose to give her the one that had the least negative impact and consequence.
But I asked you, why did you change your testimony? Because the, what is it called, an informal hearing. So you didn't really answer my question. My question is, why did it change from the lane usage, which the magistrate previously made it very, very clear that this was specifically regarding using the right lane to go through, and that the right lane, she repeatedly said that the right lane is a right turn only lane, clearly marked, which it is not, and I have proven that.
Karen, you're testifying again. Ask a question. You know, an open-ended sentence with a question mark at the end. Let me give you an example. Father's Day is fast approaching. What are you guys getting your dads this year? Let me offer you a suggestion. Get him an extra wallet. I've had my extra wallet for a few months now, and I can honestly say that I'm not going to go back to a conventional wallet. I mean, I'm still in love with the sleek design, the amazing build quality, the RFID protection and security, and the ability to track my wallet worldwide from my smartphone. But since having this wallet, the one little feature that's been an absolute lifesaver for me is the reverse find feature, which allows you to use your wallet to find your phone. So check it out. If you have your wallet, but can't find your phone, just whip out your wallet, push the trackable button, and listen for your phone. Hands down, I use this feature more than any other feature of the wallet, and it's a must-have. So this year, I'll be getting my dad the Onyx Parliament wallet. I'll be getting my brother, who just retired after 2 decades in the US Navy, a digital Navy aluminum wallet, and I'll be getting my son a trackable laptop bag, you know, so he can give it to his father. Honestly, I love my extra wallet, and I wouldn't have taken on this second sponsorship with them if I didn't truly feel that you would love it too. So use my link in the pinned comment or description below to get 20% off of all your trackable Father's Day needs. Now, I've given you enough time, Karen. Have you figured out how to ask a question yet?
Is the officer aware that at the intersection of Michigan and Riverview, the lane signage that's posted clearly indicates that there is a left turn lane, there is a straight through lane, and then there is a straight through and right turn lane? Is the officer aware of that?
There are, as you're coming eastbound, I'm assuming you're talking about the eastbound lanes. As you're coming eastbound, there is a left turn lane that goes north onto Austin Road. And then there are 2 other lanes, the inside lane and the curve lane. And both of those are allowed to go straight through at that point.
Right. And that's what I did. And that's what you testified to. And I clearly, why are you changing your testimony? Are you just trying to keep my money? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Oh my God, Karen, you were so close. You asked a question, you got a response, and then you devolve back into a troglodyte.
Why are you doing that?
Your Honor. That's not appropriate.
Sustained.
I agree with you. It's not appropriate, but I'm very sorry, Your Honor. This is clearly not appropriate either. It's a very, okay. And then I would like to say, I do have a witness.
Miss Dehart, if you have any further questions for for Officer Belknap,
No.
we have any further questions for him?
All right. Is Officer Belknap aware that I had someone else in the car?
Yes, you had your husband, and he made it very clear that he worked for a police department. And I felt that he was actually trying to get you some courtesy for that. And in fact, that's perhaps why I issued the impeding traffic and not the traffic violation with the points on it.
Can I talk?
Karen, shut your Kevin up. He should have told you not to fight this because he should have known that you were getting the best deal possible already.
And he was making himself aware because of a courtesy to other police officers. And he made it very clear.
Ma'am, you cannot testify right now. And everything you're saying, I am not taking into evidence. You have
Okay, I'm very sorry, Your Honor.
Ma'am, it's my turn to speak.
Okay.
Opportunity to cross-examine the officer. If you have any questions for him, you may ask him questions, but your questions are not evidence. So you do not go off on all these other things that the magistrate was talking about, because I'm not taking note of any of that. Those are not, evidence, those are just questions. What the officer is saying is the evidence that I'm going to take into account. So if you have any further questions that you would like to ask the officer, please do so.
Thank you. Then another question that I have is that the officer was not the only one in attendance. And could he please tell me, there was his supervisor or whatever the ranking is, was also there. And
What is the question, ma'am? You're testifying again. Can
Like,
you please ask
what-
the officer a question?
okay, so what was the other officer there for, other than him? Yeah. And
That was-
was he, oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry because I'm saying sorry too much and I'm not used to court proceedings. So I apologize for all of that. So is there something we can, I maybe would like to revisit this again, because the courts did not receive, I mean, I have a copy that said they received it and none of it's with the file. And I just feel really,
Ma'am, if you
Like
have
Shanghai,
evidence that you would
but-
like to use, then you can certainly try to admit that evidence through a witness. You can't just hand me documents.
right, you mean like the court? I mean, as a witness, submit documents through a witness, which would be
Through
the
their
court.
testimony.
Okay, well, so I can have a witness?
Yes, Karen, you can bring on your Kevin now.
I'd like to call my husband, Kevin D. Hart.
Okay, does he have another device or something he can?
I'm
can-
right,
He's right next to me, is that what you want?
I'm right here.
Okay.
And please tell me if my window
Can you
is
raise
too
your
dark.
right hand, sir? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Lower your hand, state and spell your name for the record, please.
Kevin D. Hart, D-E-H-A-R-T. The first name is K-E-V-I-N.
Go ahead, Ms. DeHart.
Okay, first of all,
No, sir, you
Oh,
can't
what?
just start talking. Ms. DeHart can ask you questions.
oh,
You're
I'm sorry.
the other witness. You can't just talk.
I'm sorry, I thought you said Mr. D. Hart, not Mrs. D. Hart. Were you in the car with me in November 10th, 2021,
Yes, I was.
as I was driving? In your professional opinion, with over 33
I'm going
years,
to object to the comment about professional
police.
opinion, Your Honor. And we'll stipulate to the fact that he was present in the car. The officer already testified to that.
Sustained.
Yeah. Okay, and did I do any illegal driving during that time?
No,
that
you
day?
did not.
Well, hey guys, Kevin said so, so it must be true. And I love how she just asserts her husband's 33 years of professional experience without even establishing any facts to support that opinion.
And at none, well, there would be none, so that would cover absolutely everything that was handled on that day, including the line markings that the do you believe that the officer's statement about where all the line markings are on the road and where the dotted lines happen in the road and where the lane ends and the usage, does that include that all of that was done legally?
Yes, it was.
And do you believe that the officer has changed his story from the hearing that we were in?
I'm going to object
Oh,
again, Your
wait,
Honor.
that was.
We're
that was
talking
when I
about
was talking
testimony
about-
and it-
I'm sorry. I just remembered
Sustained. Ms.
that.
DeHart, please
Yes.
move on from the informal hearing.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So do you believe that the officer's testimony today is not accurate and not true to what he told us when we were pulled over?
Objection again, Your Honor. She's going back to the same thing that you just told her not to do.
We're gonna get a lawyer.
Yeah, I think I need some representation.
This is,
I'm, I don't know how to handle it from now, Your Honor, because,
I don't know how to tell you this, Karen, but you're a little late to the I need representation party. You probably should have used some common sense and told your dumbass Kevin that this was a dumbass idea.
documentation was delivered to the court.
Ms.
And they
DeHart,
accepted it on
about
behalf.
Ms. DeHart, do you have any questions about the November 20th?
November,
Mr. DeHart,
on November 10th?
I'm sorry,
Okay,
November
please.
10th.
Yeah.
Do you have any further questions for Mr. DeHart about
No,
November?
I'm going to go ahead and go along with you, and I'm going to say that there is nothing else at this time that, I'm just all shooken. I'm totally shooken up. Okay. Totally shooken up because okay, I'll stop there to try to be more appropriate to you. I'm sorry.
You know, you kind of feel bad for Karen at face value, but then you remember that she's wasting the court's time, she's wasting the officer's time. She got the best possible deal that she could get from the beginning, and she still decided to fight it in court. So no, I don't have any love or sympathy for this Karen, and she deserves the Kevin she's stuck with.
Do you have any closing statements, Ms. DeHart?
Your Honor, I'm very sorry that we have to take up your time on this because I think that you have not been told the truth in this case. So my closing statement would include that I wished the court proceedings worked and you had the paperwork in front of you that you need, and that the officer's story has changed in three different times. And I just don't know what else to say. I just would appreciate that you dismiss this and we can have our money returned, because as everyone knows, money is very tight these days. And living with an officer for 38 years, I appreciate and respect everything about the officers. I was the one that was insulted when he made comments about himself, because that is definitely not professional.
If you weren't convinced she was a Karen before, then this should remove all doubt. Basically what happened is that as the officer was giving her the ticket, he told her that if she wanted to fight it in court, just say that the big mean trooper from Saline gave it to her. He even explained that he does that to make it easier for the people receiving the ticket to know that he's a human too and not just a robot. But this Karen has taken it upon herself to find that to complain about.
I would like to make a
Final
final
for the people. Mhm.
comment, Your Honor. I'm not going to go into about everything that happened before. There's a lot of things you just said, which I could really point out. I want to make two statements. What she provided to the court, if it had been provided to you, court staff would have been violating the rules, as they're not allowed to, she's not allowed to provide evidence ex parte to the court without providing it to the prosecutor too, and that would be done in trial. My second statement is regarding all the things she has said several times about Officer Belknap. I have decades and decades and decades of experience, and I actually know Officer Belknap very well, and I consider him one of the most professional and best officers I've ever had contact with. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Ojai.
Can I answer to that?
No, you can't. The way that it works, the prosecutor, because they're bringing the case forward, they get the last word because they have the burden of proof.
Well, because.
No,
okay,
ma'am,
yeah.
the hearing's
I got it.
concluded.
Shut up, Karen!
After listening to the testimony from Officer Belknap, as well as the testimony from Kevin DeHart and Lisa DeHart, I wanted to address a couple of things. There was a lot of conversation about a photo that Ms. DeHart she submitted to the court. It is correct. It wouldn't have been appropriate for her to not also include the prosecutor in that communication. Nonetheless, it became clear through her own testimony of what this picture would have reflected. And from the officer's testimony, it doesn't sound like this picture had any relevance to what this impeding traffic ticket is about. So had it even been submitted, I'm not sure if it would have been appropriate to bring forward in this case, because what the picture seemed, what I believe, or what it seems that Ms. Dehart was saying that the picture was portraying had nothing to do with why she was pulled over. So I'm not sure that picture had any relevance. So I believe it wasn't actually submitted. Ma'am, you cannot speak.
I'm sorry, my
You
body
cannot
was
speak. As far as the testimony, we did have testimony from Officer Belknap about what happened that day, what he witnessed. He was on the lookout based on the dispatch had given him some information about to be on a lookout for a vehicle, that there were some complaints about a vehicle. So he was certainly paying attention to what was happening at that intersection. He witnessed Ms. Dehart's vehicle sort of force merge herself beyond where the lane had actually narrowed, despite there being two other signs indicating that the right lane was ending. And Officer Belknap also indicated that he witnessed the vehicle behind Miss Dehart's vehicle that she cut in front of had to slow down. After Officer Belknap's testimony, there was no testimony offered from the other witnesses that testified about what exactly happened at that intersection and that merge. There was no explanation or alternative facts given to what may have happened at that intersection that perhaps Officer Belknap may have confused or may have missaw. There was just no testimony given about what happened at the intersection at all. I did find Officer Belknap's testimony believable, and I do find the prosecutor has met their burden to show that there was enough evidence, by preponderance of evidence, that Ms. Dehart had committed the civil infraction of impeding traffic. And I will find her responsible for that. Fines and costs were assessed previously, and they were set as a bond in this matter. So the court will apply the bond to the fines and costs.
Thank you, Yenner.
And we are adjourned.
Well, it looks like Karen and Kevin aren't going on their honeymoon to Dairy Queen anytime soon. Now, before we get out of here, I want to give a special shout out to Old Squishy Gardner, whose channel is dedicated to putting out these types of court antics on pretty much a daily basis. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a dislike. But don't forget to comment below and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any of my content. I'm Team Skeptic, and I'm out.